Hi, everybody, and welcome to Rainshadow Living, your guide to Port Townsend, Sequim, and the Olympic Peninsula. I'm Trish Cole, loan strategist with New American Funding.
And I'm Ginny Erickson, a realtor with Windermere Port Townsend. And if you've ever wondered how Port Townsend, a town with only 10,000 people, has the ability to attract extraordinary arts and culture, keep listening. This episode is for you.
Our guest today is Rob Birman, the Executive Director of Centrum, the organization behind many of the festivals, performances, and workshops that bring world-class artists to the Olympic Peninsula.
Rob, welcome. And could you please start out by not only telling us what Centrum is, but giving us a little bit of background about the location? A little known fact, Fort Worden used to be the site of a juvenile detention center. And if I understand correctly, it was the vision for Centrum that transformed it from the juvenile detention center into the cultural mecca it is today.
Became for a short time a juvenile delinquent center. We are on a campus of 434 acres with 90 buildings. And after the Juvenile Delinquent Center closed in the 1950s, this property was completely shuttered. And there was a school teacher in the Tacoma School District named Joe Wheeler who started Centrum in 1973. And he was searching for some place in Washington State to build a home for lifelong learning in the arts. And he looked high and low and discovered Fort Worden at Port Townsend and made this the home for Centrum. So, in fact, on the day that the state created Fort Worden State Park, 3 state agencies came together and created Centrum. So we were created on the same day as the Fort Worden State Park in order to be the anchor tenant and to drive tourism and customers to this incredible piece of property right on the Salish Sea.
Amazing. It's an amazing organization. I looked at your calendar of events. You have things happening almost every single day.
Yeah.
But if you're coming from out of the area, like I moved here from the East Coast, and I thought Centrum was like the Worcester Centrum, like it would be this stadium and place with great acoustics, but I thought it would be a place.
Right.
So it's clearly not that.
Well, it's interesting, Ginny. The word centrum is a European word, and it means the center of a community or the center of a town. So if you travel in Europe or Italy, you'll see the word centrum on a lot of the signs. And I think the concept that Joe had back in the 70s was that you come in from one direction to this incredible creative campus, and you leave changed. You might leave in a different direction. But this is the hub. And in fact, we do have a global community of artists that come here every year. We have artists from 17 different countries, from all 50 states. And we serve students and artists from 77% of the counties in Washington state. So in a sense, I like to think that Centrum's not really a local organization, even though everything we do is here in Port Townsend. We're really a global arts organization. And I think the closest comparable to what we do here is Chautauqua, for those listeners that know what that is, in New York State, where you have this giant campus, lots of resources in terms of facilities and places to stay. And there's basically lifelong learning activities going on every day.
That sounds really exciting. Could you expand a little bit more on the student program, what that looks like and
Sure.
how it's offered?
Yeah, in fact, I would say that every program is a student program at Centrum. So we think of students, or what we call participants, ranging in age from age 4 to 98. So it's all ages. Almost everything we do at Centrum is multi-generational. So we bring together learners of all ages to be in community with one another on this incredible campus. I don't know if I mentioned, we have 90 buildings on this campus within 434 acres. So we have classrooms, theaters, gathering spaces, cafeterias, lots of different assets here at Fort Worden that we take advantage of. And in addition to the multi-generational programs, which are the programs we're best known for, large-scale music workshops and festivals our writers conference, our artist residencies. We also do a series of dedicated youth only programs. Most of those are geared to specific age groups, fifth and sixth grade as an example, or high school students, what have you, so that we're bringing together students of comparable abilities to do specific learning over a 1 week period on specific art disciplines, whether that's dance, theater, creative writing, what have you. Our website is centrum.org. And as Ginny said, I think viewers will be astounded at the variety that we offer here.
Are the courses for like the best and the brightest? Or I mean, how does somebody get to take your course, whether you're a student or, an octogenarian?
Yeah.
How would you connect with Centrum?
Well, I like to say that everything at Centrum is about no judgment. So there's no hurdles to entry here at Centrum, with the exception of one program. That's the jazz program. There is an audition required to get into the jazz workshop. But every other program that we offer at Centrum is open and accessible to anybody that wants to come. So whether you're a talented singer or a brand new person that wants to learn to sing, regardless of your age, everybody's welcome here, and there's no judgment.
Amazing.
So where do you draw from as far as students? Do you find that they come locally from Washington, or are they from all over the United States, or international?
Yeah, they come from 17 countries in all 50 states. In terms of our youth programs, as we've last measured it, it was 77% of the counties in Washington. So we have students from Spokane and Yakima and Twisp and all parts of Washington state. I would say the concentration of the artists that come here are from the I-5 corridor, sort of a day's drive to Washington. But our ticket buyers and our artist participants are global, and they come from all over. We have students that come every single year from Japan and from United Arab Emirates and Germany and London. We have tons of Canadian artists that like to come here. And you guys know Fort Worden and Port Townsend in the summertime, especially, it's a bit of a piece of heaven. The weather's perfection. The air is so clean. When you come to Fort Worden, it's a little bit primitive, but that's an opportunity for retreat and renewal for the people that come here. And city dwellers love coming here because of the deer and the eagles and the Salish Sea and the beaches and the trails and everything else.
Yeah, it's kind of the quintessential place to have a writer's retreat.
Yes.
But it goes far beyond that. I mean, you attract some of the highest level talent in the world. How is that even possible?
Well, again, a lot of what we do is concentrated in the summer months, partly because some of the venues we use are not winterized. But those that take tours and play at jazz festivals or teach at writers' conferences love to take the week in July to come to Port Townsend. Some of them bring their families, others travel singly, but for them, while they're still working, it feels like a vacation because it's a chance to get out of New York City or Chicago or Florida or Texas and be in community with all these people that value them and treasure what they have to share. We're pretty fortunate that we do bat well above our class, if you were, given that we're located in a community of just 10,000 people. But Port Townsend's a pretty big magnet for people that want to get away from the hubbub of city life.
So who is the organizer behind all the classes, and where do you draw the instructors from?
Yeah, really good question.
All around participation, or?
Yeah, the teaching artists that we refer to as faculty members come from all over the world. And in fact, we have 6 program managers, and most of those program managers manage 3 programs each. So in essence, the program managers work with what we refer to as artistic directors. Most programs have an artistic director and a program manager. And between those 2 positions, they curate a week of opportunities and they hand select the artists that they want to come each year. Some programs have 100% turnover from year to year on the faculty. Other programs have a high rate of return on faculty. And that's based on demand of the students that are coming here and the feedback we get. We survey all of our artists after every single week of programming at Centrum, and we respond to those surveys in terms of what faculty member is in high demand and where people might want to learn things that we haven't thought to offer yet.
Can you talk a little bit about the depth and breadth of the programming and the events? And just, I'm curious, do you also have events open to the public?
Oh yeah, many, many, many. So our whole purpose in being here at Fort Worden is to really fuel the creative economy here in Port Townsend. So let's talk about the art forms for a minute. They break down basically in four different sectors. We have a lot of music and performing arts programs. We have some very high-end creative writing programs. We have extremely high-end artist and residency programs. And then we have those youth programs. Now, these tend to span all disciplines. So if we talk about the artist in residence program, that's for cinematographers, choreographers, authors, painters, poets, whatever. We accept all disciplines here in the residency program. Our youth program teaches theater, creative arts, writing, journaling. We do some marine science in programs that interface science and art. Our music programs range from fiddle tunes, Brazilian choro, jazz, acoustic blues, red hot strings, which is early string jazz, chamber music, many, many different art forms in performing arts. So we really cover the landscape in terms of art disciplines. And in terms of public events, we do both free events around the year. We have a series of free concerts from June through August at Fort Worden State Park each Friday at noon. We do free literary readings every night during the Writers' Conference, which is in the middle of July. We do various free art exhibits and artist talks throughout the year as well. And then we have a lot of ticketed events, including concerts at the Wheeler Theater, which is a 280-seat, lovely 1932 historic theater. And we have this incredible venue called the McCurdy Pavilion, which is a 1,200-seat World War I balloon hangar. If you saw Officer and a Gentleman, this is where Lou Gossett Jr. and Richard Gere had their fight scene. That was filmed in the 1980s at Fort Worden State Park. And in 1990, Centrum converted that building into a 1,200-seat concert hall. It's pretty incredible. So we do a lot of concert events. We have a very large number of ticket holders. We have about 11,000 audience members a year. And in terms of the learners, we serve about 1,700 participants across all of the programs.
Well, it sounds really exciting. And if people want to find out about the events, they can just go on the website.
That's always the best way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Centrum.org. It's got a detailed calendar and a listing of all of our programs there.
Okay. And then do you have, are there facilities available for people from coming out of town, or is it up to them to find individual, not necessarily the artists that are in residence, but anyone who wants to come and see a program?
Yes, Fort Worden has, I don't know how many bedrooms, but probably 600 bedrooms out here, I'm guessing, something in that range, from houses to dormitories. Students can stay here on the campus if they wish. Some do. Some stay in the area. Some people camp. It's not obligatory to stay at Fort Worden State Park, but those that do help fuel that economy. And everybody that stays at Fort Worden State Park actually pays into the Port Townsend Lodging Tax Fund. So it helps the city and it helps the state park at the same time.
Wow.
What events or activities are you most excited about that are coming up?
Well, the one big event we have every year is our annual gala. So we happen to have Bonnie Raitt coming this year on June 12th, which is incredibly exciting. We had Wynton Marsalis last year. We've had Diana Krall and Rhiannon Giddens in the past. We used to do a big auction every year to raise money for Centrum. After the pandemic, we morphed away from the auction and went in the direction of a benefit concert. We felt that it had more resonance with our mission and was more aligned with who we are. So Bonnie Raitt will be here on June 12th, in part in recognition of the blues program that we've run since the 1980s and all the early blues progenitors that we've brought here on faculty through the years, which is a pretty astonishing list, many of whom no longer are with us.
Yeah.
But she is recognizing our contribution and our dedication to that art form and agreed to come here as one of her tour dates for 2012, 26, I mean, sorry. And in addition to that, that also kind of starts our summer season. So we have a chamber music workshop after that. We have a Voice Works festival. Our Fiddle Tunes festival will be the 50th Fiddle Tunes gathering this summer, as well as America's 250th anniversary. Those are all coinciding around the week of July 4th, which is very exciting. We've got a special art exhibit that'll be up from June through August, celebrating the rich diversity of art forms and artists from the folk tradition in this country. So we encourage visitors to come and see that while they're in town. And then we have our writers conference, our jazz festival, our blues festival, and a high school dance workshop. These are all back-to-back contiguous weeks. So we're very busy in the summertime, and it's the best time of year to visit. So we encourage people to come.
That's wonderful. Well, many of our visitors are from out of the area.
Right.
And many of our listeners anyway. And so if they're planning a trip to Port Townsend, say this summer,
Right.
Is it too late for them to partake? I mean, I know Bonnie Raitt is sold out, right? And so what else could they, how do they participate? How do they engage with you guys?
Yeah, great question. Our summer tickets just went on sale this week on April 15th. Okay. And they go on sale May 1st for the general public. And I would say for the most part, we have tickets available for many events. We have our Brazilian Choro concert this weekend. Those are sold out. We have some ukulele festival concerts next weekend. Nice. Those are already sold out. Those are in my smaller venue, the Wheeler Theater. When we get into the summer, we're in the much larger venue and we have outdoor seating. So tourists can get tickets. We encourage them to order early, but if you're in town without reservations, look us up and come on by. Our box office opens 1 hour before every event, and most often you can get tickets at the door.
Wonderful.
Great. Well, is that, once again, centrum.org is the website where all that information is available?
Right.
And yeah, Jenny and I love to explore the lifestyle in Port Townsend. And the more that we do this podcast, the more that we get to learn about intriguing and interesting aspects like this. So
could I say a few words about Fort Worden?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Okay. So another interesting thing about visiting the fort, if you're in Port Townsend or coming here, we have a lot of nonprofit organizations here that share the campus. So Centrum happens to be the biggest and the first one that was here. But we have a Port Townsend School of Woodworking. We have Northwind Art. We have KPTZ Radio. We have Copper Canyon Press, which is one of the largest printing presses for poetry in the entire world. We have Madrona Mind Body Institute, which is a wellness and yoga studio. We have Corvidae Press, which is an all-volunteer printing press. And other nonprofits and organizations that are here. So we are a campus dedicated to lifelong learning. Centrum happens to be sort of the 900-pound gorilla that's here, but it's a great place to visit and drop in and see what's happening. So we encourage people to, if you're coming to Port Townsend, come by. There's great food here at Fort Worden. We have beaches and trails and hiking and lots to do. So we encourage people to plan ahead and make this part of your destination.
I have another question. Should people actually plan their vacations around things they could do at Centrum? What if there's a newbie out there that wants to learn about creative writing or maybe singing? They're from out of town.
Yeah. Oh, it happens all the time.
Would they plan a week? Would they plan a month? What would be the deal?
Well, most of everything we do is 1 week in length. So we have one or two things we do that span more than a week, but almost everything we do at Centrum is 1 week. That's the model. Mm-hmm. So it's a great way to plan a vacation. If you're going to do that and you want to go deep into an art form, it would be good to register in advance. We don't generally take registrations on a walk-up basis, partly because we have to plan food and lodging for the guests that are here. But you can register for programs. They typically open for registration as early as November each year. And you can enroll probably up to about 3 weeks before a program starts. And often, as I mentioned, food and lodging is offered and included in your package if you wish to have it. So there's also housing on the campus if you want to bring families and your family wants to be here and while you're in class, they're out exploring. That's an option. We have 6-bedroom homes here at Fort Worden, all the way down to 2-bedroom duplexes. So there's a wide range of cost points and scale of housing options here at the fort. I will say that we don't run the housing. So the Washington State Park Commission, who owns the Fort Worden State Park, it's a state park, operates the housing, and they have their own food providers and laundry service. And we're happy to just simply support all of that.
Nice. And for the workshops themselves, is there a price range, like low end to high end? Is it by class, by amount of time? Is it all very clear on the website?
I think it is clear on the website. Most of the pricing is based on a 1-week experience. Fiddle Tunes has a little bit of a scaled pricing option because we have a kids track and a teen track and an adult track. But most of the programs have one tuition level. There are scholarships available for everything that we do at Centrum, so you can apply for scholarship support. We give away, I'm going to say around $150,000 to $180,000 worth of scholarships every year, thanks to the generosity of our local community. And I would say tuition on average for youth programs is going to range in the $400 to $500 range for the week, not counting food and lodging. And for adult programs, probably $500 to $750. So it's affordable depending on how high end you want to go on your food and lodging.
Absolutely.
And, the benefit, as we say, is to be in community with others. So you'll meet like-minded people and you'll be inspired to bring what you learn here back to your home community and share it with others.
Nice. I have a personal question for you, Rob, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
As executive producer, can you tell us just a short synopsis of how you were drawn to the organization and maybe a little bit of background in what you do in the organization?
Sure. I grew up outside Philadelphia. I spent my whole life there through graduate school and studied music performance as an undergrad and a grad student. And I immediately got into what's known in the industry as arts administration. So when I was 25 years old, I landed my first executive director job running the Dubuque Symphony Orchestra in Iowa. And I jumped around throughout the United States. I lived in Dubuque, Boston, Miami Beach, Washington, D.C., Boulder, Colorado, Louisville, Kentucky, Santa Barbara, San Francisco, before I ended up in Port Townsend. But I'm here really because my mother-in-law is from Port Ludlow. And my wife and I used to come and visit once a year, and we were familiar with the community, and she wanted to be closer to her mother. So in 2013, I saw the opening listed for Centrum, and there were 140 applicants, and I was lucky enough to be invited to come. And we moved here from Louisville, Kentucky, where I was running the Louisville Orchestra at the time. So my background is mostly in music, but we're basically an event producer here at Centrum. We're not just about music. We basically produce events, and that's our specialty. And we're good at it, and everybody on our team is very supportive. We've got 20 members on the board, which are regional members from Seattle, Tacoma, Bainbridge, Paulsbo, Port Townsend. And we have about 20 people on the full-time staff here at Centrum. We have a $5 million operating budget, which is fairly big for a small rural community. And we're really proud of our track record and our legacy. And we're making giant investments in this campus. As you two may know, we just signed a 70-year lease to be here. So we're going to make some really significant investments in upgrading the facilities at Fort Worden, which tend to be a little bit primitive. Think about an army base built in World War I. That's what we have here. It's charming. The infrastructure is a little bit out of date. all of the property needs some care and attention. So Centrum's in the process of raising funds on the private sector so we can invest in the 14 buildings that we lease year round to make them more modern, upgrade energy efficiency and comfort and safety. And I think the public will see evidence of a slow and gradual elevation of the quality of the facilities here at the Fort over the next decade or so.
So
And
speaking, oh, go ahead.
well, I was just going to say that I look at this as this generation's legacy to the future of Port Townsend.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Well, if someone listening wanted to donate, what would you tell them?
Well, we're grateful for donations of all sizes. It's the easiest way to donate is online. You can donate on our website. We were really lucky to be featured on the PBS NewsHour a few years ago in August 2023 in honor of our 50th anniversary. And it was fun to hear people from all over the country that didn't know about Centrum, some of whom became donors, which is fantastic. If you care about passing tradition and culture from one generation to the next, this is a really great organization to support because most of the funds that we raise are returned right back to hire and support the artists that come and teach. So we appreciate gifts of all sizes. We also have a special program for donors that are willing to think about a multi-year commitment called the Centrum Circle. And there's certain benefits that come with that, which you can read about on our website.
Wonderful.
Well, it's a real win-win, I think, for the community. You're supporting restoration of the fort, which is needed right now,
Right.
and creating an atmosphere for artistic growth, which is needed, I believe. And I think it goes hand in hand with just a really positive impact all around. So
I agree. Also, one of the reasons I came here is when I looked at Centrum, I was so deeply impressed at the diversity of who we bring here. So we think about a rural community, which is 90% homogeneous. It's wonderful when you look at the variety of people we bring to this community, not just to Centrum, but the visitors, the tourists, the artists, the global community of learners that are coming here. I think Centrum contributes maybe more than anybody on the peninsula in terms of bringing diversity to this region of the country, which we're really proud about.
Wonderful. Well, this podcast is for folks, most of our listeners are folks who are considering a move to Port Townsend, Washington, or just curious to know more about it. But since you've lived practically everywhere, what would you say to our audience? If someone is considering moving to Port Townsend, what would you like them to know?
Well, the quality of life here is what I think motivates people to move from the big city to come to rural America. I've lived in rural communities like Dubuque and other places. The quality of life is fantastic in a rural community. What's neat about Port Townsend, especially in the kind of position I'm in, is people get to know who you are. So there's very few places I can go in town and not be recognized or recognize people that I care about in this community. The other thing I'm just going to say, which is so obvious, is the air is so clean here. So the one thing that struck me when I moved here was the incredible cleanness of the air, which is a good thing for health and for wellness. But every morning when you walk outside to go to work, I'm reminded every day about what a magical place we live in terms of climate. So we know that there's a lot of climate refugees that want to leave California and other places to come to Port Townsend. That's driving home prices up, as you both know and we know. But we're kind of a safe haven here, and it's a manageable size. And the amenities here are strong. They're not the same as you're going to find in a large city, but part of the wonderful aspect of living in Port Townsend is embracing compromise, and supporting local businesses and local establishments that are trying to contribute on a local level to this community. It's a pretty special place.
Absolutely. Is there anything else you might want to add or tell us that we didn't ask you about Centrum, or just your fundraiser or anything in general?
Well, I'd say we do some programs we don't talk a lot about that I'll share with your listeners. We have had a really strong program for students of migrant families from all over Washington state Because of the temperature in the country right now, we don't even list those programs on our website, but they still continue. We don't talk about the dates for those programs for now, but we love supporting students that for many haven't been apart from their families ever in their lifetime. So a lot of these students that are identified by the superintendent of schools in Olympia will come and travel to Port Townsend, and they'll be here for a week. They get their own dorm room, often for the first time ever, and they meet other children of their age from around the state. And a lot of them experience for the first time that they have abilities they didn't even know about. One of the wonderful things about the programs that we offer is we push people outside their comfort level, and we sort of force artists to stretch and to learn the value of creative risk. And what that does often is it builds self-confidence and empowerment, and it teaches you what you're capable of. So you may leave and decide, well, I'm never going to be a dancer, but you get over that inhibition of dancing in front of others, and you learn to be more resilient, basically. So this program we have for students of migrant families is so motivational for us. And there's an incredible film about it on YouTube. If you go to our YouTube channel, you can search Centrum Port Townsend on YouTube. We had a Seattle filmmaker make a short film about it a few years ago. And what struck me about that film is that none of our voices are in it. And it's just incredibly powerful. So I would encourage your listeners to look for that.
Well, we'll definitely put a link to that YouTube on our podcast for
Great.
people to explore too. So that'll be fun to see. And that's one of the things you mentioned is the wide variety and mix and the all-inclusiveness of the program, which is
Right.
really exciting.
Right.
So we just want to thank you so much for spending the time with us today and just giving us a glimpse into it. I'm going to definitely be checking out some of the programs this summer. So
Well, thank you. We appreciate all of your support and the support of all of your listeners. So thank you.
yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And if you're exploring the Olympic Peninsula or thinking about a move, this is exactly the kind of lifestyle we love sharing with you. So please don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Rainshadow Living.
See you later.
Bye-bye.